Good morning, YouTube. Let's rise and shine. Start a brand new day. New format, new painting. Episode 30. Heavy is the head, number 1, new painting. But before we get started, let's just go ahead and kick it off by running this intro. Okay, YouTube, let's get started. And today we are going to be doing things a little bit differently. I want to make a couple little changes here and see if anything changes out there in YouTube land. So I'm going to be making, for some, what would be obvious changes, and for maybe new viewers, nothing will be new to you. The whole thing will be new to you, obviously, if you're a new viewer. But what are we doing today? Today we are painting black velvet. My name is Kavo, and I'm a lifelong artist. And right now my trend artistically is to paint black velvet. I believe that it is something that is slowly creeping back into the nostalgic psyche of the culture today. I think we're slipping back into seeing some things that are cool and touching on some things from the past, and that's kind of what this is all about. As an artist, I paint Vanitas, and I combine the two in this world. A Vanitas painting is basically just something that is a painting to remind you of the significance of life. We are all born into this world, and we all leave this world. And basically a Vanitas painting is a painting to remind you, Momento, Mori, to carpe diem, to seize the day, because at any moment, you know, there but for the grace of God, right, there go I into the great sleep. And today's painting is called Heavy is the Head. Before we got started, I pretty much painted on a thin outline of what it is that I wanted to do today, and the image that we are doing is a skull with a crown and a bottle of cognac. I believe it's a King Louis XIV, I think is what it is, cognac bottle we're doing. We're going to put some grapes in here and a crown. It's probably going to take a few episodes to get it where we're finished. I don't know if you can tell, but this is a little sped up. This isn't actual time. I've done some videos in the past where I show the moment by moment, minute by minute, how long it takes, because, you know, I'm not really trying to educate you. I'm trying to teach you. But if you're tuning in to see, I am keeping it relatively close to normal speed, so that, you know, if this is something that you're interested in maybe doing, you can at least see what's going on. One of the things that I'll tell you is that painting on velvet is extraordinarily difficult. There's nothing easy about it. Painting by itself is difficult, but painting on velvet is like even more so. The thing about velvet is that it is fuzzy, right? And that fuzzy nature of velvet has a way of accepting and repelling paint at the same time. which means that you have a hard time controlling how much paint is being absorbed. You have difficulty controlling the edge. You know, if you're an artist and you understand what I mean by controlling the edge. Sometimes you have a difficulty with that because it's fabric. It'll split. What you may notice is that there are a couple of other velvet paintings here in the shot when the shot is there. You'll notice that this particular skull, as I'm doing it, this is one coat. In order to get the bright white tones, to get bright colors, painting on velvet requires a few coats. So it's not only time consuming in the sense that you're kind of waiting for drying time because it's a little bit different on velvet. You got to go back and put on a couple coats. You can't just, you know, blast right through it. There are occasions where when I'm doing a commission and I kind of got to go quickly, yeah, I'll use a blow dryer on the cool setting and try and dry things off as fast as I possibly can. But even that, sometimes velvet's tricky. It's not like painting on canvas. Today's subject is, like I said, heavy as the head. The Queen recently passed away. We have a new king. There's some things going on over there in the land of the Brits that inspired me to do this because of life and stuff like that, and death and stuff like that. So actually, I drew this picture out on this canvas about a month ago, and I just never got around to doing it. And in the process of that, I was painting some other paintings, and then I had a commission that I just finished. It took me about 2 weeks to do, and it brings me to today. And here we are, and it's like, well, okay, well, I'm gonna go ahead and do that because, you know, if there's anything where we have a little bit of the royal watch going on, it's now. And so I felt like, okay, well, we have, well, I don't want to say we have a new king because I live in America. They have a new king. At any rate, that's what this is all about, heavy as the head. And so today what I would like to talk about is being a king. I call myself King Kavo. Many of you know me, you know, have heard, have seen me write my name, signature, sign my name, King Kavo. Where do I get off calling myself a king? Well, I come from the old school, and when the opportunity in my life ever came into being where I could call myself a king, it comes from a time of writing graffiti. Way back in the 80s. I started writing graffiti in 1982-ish, 81-ish, 82-ish, and then I went nuts with it in 1984, between 83 and 84, that's when I was really prevalent with doing it. And the world of graffiti at that point was like, in order to be a king, you had to do several types of graffiti, and you had to do several types of graffiti well. And then on top of that, one of the things was about bombing trains, right? And in order for you to even be considered a king, you had to do what was called in New York, it was called being all city, right? And I'm from South Jersey, and so in my mind, that was kind of it. It was like, all right, so my whole thing was, all right, well, I needed to bomb in New Jersey, bomb in Philadelphia, and then bomb in New York, and then bomb all the way around. And then I got one chance where I went down to DC and did some tagging. I didn't bomb nothing, but I did some tagging down there. And so it was getting around, getting up, and sort of getting known. The only thing that I really didn't do at that time was get known. I kind of got lost in the ether of things because at that time when I was doing all this, I was still in high school. I was still living, you know, a relatively young kid's life, you know, having to be responsible. And then I had a job, so, you know, I wasn't, you know, just roaming the streets at night whenever. You know, I had responsibilities for a teenager. But at that point, you know, I felt like I could call myself a king, but I didn't. I let it go. But how did I get to the point where I could call myself a king now? It's, well, because of all the art that I have done in my life. I'm in my 50s. I have done all kinds of art. I can do all kinds of art. I am a master of many different styles. I've done graffiti, obviously. I've spent probably a good 10 years of my life doing comic book artwork. Old school comic book artwork with a pen and ink, not with a computer. I mean, before the computer, you know what I mean? Where I was actually doing 13, 14 hours inking pages kind of stuff, comic books. And then I spent 20 years doing tattoos, where it was the ultimate ink experience, right? Putting ink in skin and blood and people. And over that course of 20 years, I would say that I tattooed over 5,000 people. And then between all that, you know, I'm a painter, I'm an artist, so I paint canvases. And I can say that I've probably painted, you know, I never really even thought about how many canvases I've painted over the years. Probably a lot. But I'm not even going to try to guess how many. But then, you know, just in doing all those different things and being, I don't like to, you know, brag on my skills, but, you know, the good Lord blessed me with an ability. And in that, so at that point, having done all that, I decided at one point in time or another, in a world where I was working in the tattoo business, I was working with a bunch of youngsters that didn't have no real experiences. And to them, I was kind of a king. And so it just sort of flowed, and I was transitioning out of Papa Kavo, where I was doing witch doctor things, and I gave my life over to the King of all kings, Jesus. And at that point, you know, I was like, well, I'm not going to be doing evil anymore and casting spells and stuff like that, you know. But in being someone who became a follower of Jesus, I realized that my quest is that kingdom. And so at some point in time or another, I'm obviously working my way to being, you know, royalty, right? We're all kings, right? In that place. So I felt, okay, well, that's what I'll be, and I'll just go with it. And for a lot of years, I signed my name on a lot of art, King Kavo. Heavy is the head, simply because with kingship, with the kingdom, comes responsibility. There's things about, you know, living up to being a king at art where you can't really just, you know, you have to produce. And when you produce, you have to produce fantastic art. You know what I mean? There's a term in the graffiti world called a toy. And what that means is that you're out there, you're trying, you know, but it's a toy. You're doing it for fun, and it's not really serious. And, you know, you're not really putting everything into it. It doesn't really mean anything. And it shows in your work. Now, when you flip the script and you become a professional, well, then it's not a game anymore. You know, it's work. And when you make that transition, well, now your professional mindset changes. And now it isn't about, you know, well, I'm drawing this, I'm painting this, and I'm doing this for fun. I'm doing it for a little bit of notoriety. It's like, no, I'm doing this for the paper. I'm doing this for the business end of things. And the reality of it is that when it comes to certain things, the truth of the matter is that most artists, people who are creating art, I'm not talking about musicians, because it's just too easy to make a song and have it hit and then be a millionaire, as opposed to somebody who's painting something, have someone look at it and pay $1 million for it. It doesn't really work that way until we're dead, right? Not too many people make good money while they're alive. You know, I knew Jean-Michel Basquiat did pretty well while he was alive, but, you know, he didn't make nearly the money that his paintings are making now after he's gone. So what makes someone a king is, I think, also the recognition of others. seeing what you've done, how you've done it, and then, but then again, there are people who say you should never call yourself a king. You can't crown yourself. But, I mean, whatever. I think it goes good with Kavo. I don't really call myself King Kavo, and in this, I'm just Kavo. What I can say is, in this particular painting, I'm not thinking of any particular kings in general. It's just the idea. To get into the art here, basically it is acrylic paint. If you notice when I did the grapes, I was using a battery. I tend to use all different kinds of things and tools and stuff to make my art come to life. I've chosen to do velvet, and the reason why I've chosen to do velvet is, like I said, for a bit of the nostalgic. I do Vanitas because, again, I believe that it's a wonderful reminder that we should all seize the day and live to the fullest. I do paint other things. It isn't entirely Vanitas, but it is certainly, for the most part, always going to be skull related, horror related, or certainly cool related. If it's not cool, I'm not going to paint it. I'm not going to waste my time painting it on velvet where it's more difficult to paint it if it's not worth it there. You know what I mean? But what I can say is that in this, altogether, this took me to get from where I was to where I am in this episode about 35-40 minutes of time. Like I said, I sped it up, so chopped it down a little bit. What I'll be doing in the next couple episodes is be going over second coats, third coats, and bringing it to life. I'd like to thank you guys for watching. I appreciate you guys that have been sticking with me through 30 episodes. I tried things a different way before, and now I'm going to do things a little bit differently this time. And see if I can get a little bit better placement in the algorithm, you know what I mean? And see if I can get some of these viewer numbers up. I feel like I was doing something in a way where I was doing it my way, and that was fine. But I think I want to make a little bit of a change to see if there's, there's more than one way to do anything, you know what I mean? And so that's what I'm going to do. Give it a shot. Thanks for watching. I appreciate it. Tune in with me a couple days. Art by Kavo. All right. That's it. Episode 30. Heavy as a head number 1. I'm out of here.
Ouch. Watch where you're poking that, mister.
Assimilate the algorithm.